Okay, so I'm live on YouTube and on Facebook. You can ask your questions right now, anytime you want. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting question. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for coaching. But you've got to apply to that now because my schedule is pretty packed. So just let me know via email why you want to work with me. So, oh, and by the way, I just had a blood test done today. That's what that is. So just in case you notice that white spot there. Okay, so what are your parenting questions? By the way, no, I won't say that yet. I'll just wait till we get going. So, oh, I had a busy day today. Okay. So do you have any parenting questions? Any age. I specialize in teenagers, but most people want to know about toddlers. Most of you have toddlers, it seems. So, but if you have teenagers, ask away. Someone said to me a while back, they said, do you talk about teenagers too? That's my favorite age. So if you have teenagers, I'm here. I can't always answer the questions with teenagers because I need to know a lot of history. Sometimes I can, though. Often when I'm coaching parents, they're quite surprised by the fact that disciplining is a very tiny part of what I teach. It's more about bonding with your kids. I teach leadership. You want to be best friends with your kids, but you're still a leader. You're not an authority, you're still a leader. Okay, strategies for calm parenting as leader, please, 5-year-old. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna read out my top 3 leadership qualities, okay? These are basically past the age, I guess pretty much all ages, but not so much toddlers, but probably 3 and above. This is for 3 and above and teenagers too. Number 1 is you stay calm during the storms. So when you're disciplining, you're calm. It's like a business transaction. There's no anger, no emotions. You're very calm. Okay, I didn't like what you did. You broke a rule, so here's the consequence. That's how it's done. It's very, very calm. And then you can get crazy during the rainbows. So when everything's going great, then you can be wild and crazy and best friends with your kids. So, and that's what you really want to focus on. You want to deal with bad behavior, but focus on the good kids. So calm during the storms, crazy during the rainbows, and then become a great listener. Use these more than this. You want to listen to your kids. They're going to tell you everything if you become a really good listener. And you don't listen to gather information to lecture with. You listen to show understanding and empathy. Okay? You said, ugh, that's hard. What's hard? What did I say? Oh, calm during the storms? Yeah, it's a skill you'll learn. It gets easier. Once you realize how well it works, it gets easier. Not with toddlers. Toddlers are nuts anyway. Okay, I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Well, I changed the name. I kind of might go back to parenting toddlers. I'm calling it my top 5 tips for managing toddlers, but that sounds a little bit controlling. So I'm going to go back to parenting again. Just change the name of it, just for my own benefit here. Yeah, my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Because I don't want to think you're controlling kids. You want them to learn how to control themselves, but toddlers can't do that anyway. Okay. By the way, toddlers and teens are the most frustrating ages, toddlers physically and teenagers more emotionally, but it's just a lack of understanding and how to parent them. Toddlers, yeah, they're just kind of nuts anyway. So these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you do that in their world. You watch how they play and you join in. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You play in their world. They just start to look at you differently when you enter their world. It's a real, like, it makes them feel good. And number 4 is you stop with the mini therapy sessions when you're disciplining. You shouldn't have done that. You know you're a good boy. You shouldn't have done that. That's garbage. That was invented to make the mom feel good. Toddlers are about consistent corrective actions. So if they hit with a toy, you say no and you take the toy away and that's it. It's all actions, but you have to be really consistent and right in the moment because they learn through repetition. So you're also in their world when you're disciplining them. When you're connecting with them, you're in their world. You're also disciplining them in their world. Their world is actions, not words. Okay, number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years and for one of those years you were a potato laying on a mattress. Their brains aren't even formed yet. They're just brand new brains. So you expect too much from them. It's not that they're crazy, which I always say they are, they kind of are, but they just haven't developed sanity yet. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Good luck figuring that one out. You know, they just don't make sense yet. Okay. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old girl that both scream so loud when they're fighting over toys, and son screams when he doesn't get his way. Check out my boot camp course. That certainly, like, there's a lot in there. I don't know why they're screaming. I don't know what kind of parent you are, but check out my boot camp course that goes from 3 to 12 years old. It's on the link above, and it's just all about your leadership. You lead, they will follow. When you're a leader, they don't tend to scream or fight or anything. They just don't. When kids have a leader, it calms them right down. Remember, we're never fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. Blah, 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 blah. Remember that little girl that I told you when she said she wanted to get rid of the behavior board? She's 8 years old, and she said to her parents, "You guys are great parents. You don't need that lady." And then she tore the behavior board off the wall. "I'm that lady." She said another beauty today. I like this kid. I haven't met her, but I like her. What'd she say today? When she gets mad, she just says, "I just want to die. Just kill me." She's got personality. Oh, I love her. Anyway, kids are great. Yeah, the parent said, "Oh, I got another jewel for you." I can't wait till next week. I think too, when I laugh at all this stuff during sessions, it kind of lightens the mood too, because I think parents get really upset at this stuff, but kids they come out with the darndest stuff. Although they did laugh at that. "You guys are great parents. You don't need that lady." Isn't that the cutest thing? Okay, my toddler's figured out enough to use his scream as a weapon. Sorry, it just scrolled ahead by mistake. Ah, scream as a weapon. Any helpful advice? He can ruin everyone's day, and it's extremely hard to ignore. Not sure that's the right way to go. Just use consistent corrective action. If he starts screaming, remove him from the fun, or remove some fun from him. Say no, and then you remove something for fun. It's hard. It's really difficult. Screaming toddlers, yeah, they're going to do what they're going to do. But you can minimize that eventually. It's a slow burn, though. It's not going to work right away. They don't learn the first time. They learn through repetition. So as soon as he screams, say no, and then you remove him from the fun just for a few seconds or a few minutes, or you remove the fun from him. So there's a lesson in it each time. He's not going to connect the dots right away if he's really little. If he's 3 and over, 3 and over, that's a little bit different. You might want to check out that behavior board. But you still can't put screaming on the behavior board. It's attitude based. You can't put attitude on there. Oops, okay. We made a move for the first time into a new place. My 3-year-old daughter hasn't been minding and acting out, crying about everything, acting like she's a baby. I also have a 1-year-old. I got a behavior board and try to follow with consequences, but she won't do them and throws a fit. Well, there's 2 consequences. So the first one is an action that she has to do. It's what I call a positive action. You always start with that. So if they do something negative, you replace it with them having to do something positive. If they won't do that, because you said she won't follow it, if they won't do that, then you do a negative deprivation. You take something away. You do have control over that. You allow her to take control over the first consequence by doing something. If she won't do it, say, "You don't have to do it. That's fine." So 24-hour media blackout or something like that. So you do have control over that second consequence. Can you put bad words on the behavior board? Is that part of attitude? You'd think it would be, but it isn't. I put that on there, bad words, because it's not emotion-based. Emotions are like, "Oh, I hate you." So I wouldn't put "I hate you" on there, but no bad words is name calling and swearing, that kind of stuff. So no bad words, and that include or name calling. It's a little bit different. Don't ask me to explain that because I don't think I can. It's just different. Okay, good point. I know you say remove them from the fun, but also hate timeouts. What is a good suggestion to put them when? Well, timeout is when they go off on their own somewhere. Removing them from the fun, you can just pick them up and hold them for 2 minutes, like away from you. You're not talking to them or anything. So it's not like they're going away somewhere. You're right there. It's time. You just remove them and you're with them. Timeout is they usually do timeout like a prison sentence all by themselves. That's what I don't like. I want to be right there. I don't want to send a kid away when he's naughty. I want to be right there. So that's the difference. Someone said that's called time in. I don't use that phrase, but it's time with you. The pool story, that was time with me. So the kid was taken out of the pool, but I'm sitting chatting with him. I'm connecting with him. I'm bonding with them. You address bad behavior and you deal with it, but then you focus on the good kid. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. If all you're focused on is their bad behavior, it will get worse and worse and worse because it becomes their identity. So yeah, I don't let anything go. I'm pretty tough that way. If kids are naughty, I address it. It's very quick though, like a business. It's just, didn't like that. You can wash a window now, okay? And that's about it. Hi from New Zealand. We used to ski in Queenstown because we lived in Australia. Beautiful, beautiful down there. Would love to hear how you support children with a lot of trauma through physical tantrums. Trauma through physical tantrums. I don't know what you mean. A lot of trauma. Oh, when they're having physical tantrums? And I don't know how old they are. I'm a father. Just a sec. Got to hit the scene. I'm a foster parent. Oh, a foster parent. Okay. Trauma is next level. I deal with that in coaching only. Any abuse, trauma, PTSD, teenage stuff, crisis work, that's all one-on-one coaching, unfortunately. But you might want to check out my boot camp course or my behavior board. But kids who've been traumatized, it's a little bit different. I need to know what's happened. So to really help you, but you might want to check out the boot camp course or the behavior board. It'll just give you a start. It's all kindness, really. It's done with love. So it's not negative, but there's usually more involved with children who've been through crisis. So that would be one-on-one coaching if you're interested in talking to me. And also, I can't take everyone on these days. I'm really busy. So you have to put in the subject line in an email. It's all in the link above. You have to put down crisis if you are in crisis. And that's always my first priority client. Crisis can be life and death stuff with a teenager or abused children or trauma, whatever. You get the idea. Okay. And no, crisis is not a 4-year-old who has tantrums every day. That is not crisis. Yeah, I get that too. I'm in crisis. My toddler's driving me nuts. No, that's not crisis work. It's annoying. It may seem like it, but that's not what I consider crisis work. It's more the life and death and real trauma. Okay. 4-year-old runs to room when I correct her or when she doesn't get her way. Should I follow her to her room? Check out the behavior board. There's no way I would chase a kid. I also would never repeat myself. Check out the behavior board or check out the boot camp course. It's all about your leadership. I would not follow them. No, not at all. It explains it in the behavior board. Like I might be standing at that board all by myself. If a kid's done something wrong and they run away, I'd say, okay, the behavior board says you should do this because you broke the rule. Okay, then I might walk in and say, by the way, you're going to be doing this now within 15 minutes as your consequence. I don't understand. Oh, well, that's because you ran away and you weren't listening to me, but you're going to be doing this now. Okay. Then if they choose not to do it, fine. 24-hour media blackout. Take charge. I don't chase kids down. I don't repeat myself. I don't yell. I don't do any of that at all. I get really calm. My son used to say, he said, if my mom ever whispers, run. That's when I'm disciplining. I'm very quiet. Yeah. Okay. I didn't like that. I'll tell you what we're going to do. That's how I discipline. The rest of the time I was nuts. I was crazy because you want to be a fun parent, right? You want to have fun with your kids. Hi, I'm kind of new here, but as a mom of 3 under 3, oh, wow, you're busy. I've had some big takeaways. Excellent. Thank you. You're very welcome. What were your takeaways? I'm curious. I'm trying to hit the see more button. I do have a question about getting my 3-year-old to her own bed with fears of monsters. Okay, that's a bedtime battles course. Just a sec, I just thought of something. I have to write a note about that. I want to add something to that course. Okay, check out the bedtime battles course. It teaches you how to get them in bed and how to keep them there. But what I used to do with my kids is I would say, okay, I'm going to do a monster check. I can't remember what used to, boogeyman check, I think I called it. So I'd open up the cupboards, look under the bed and said, nope, they're not there. And once mom checks, they go running anyway. So I'll make it very clear. And then they were laughing. But you know what I'd do with my son? He was like me. We like being teased. My daughter, I wouldn't have done this with. But I'd go looking for boogeymen underneath his bed and I go, oh my God. And then I'd go, oh, it's just a dust bunny. It's always teasing them. So I kind of made humor, but if their kid's not that way inclined, don't do it. But yeah, he kind of would laugh at it. But yeah, you got to learn how to keep them in bed. But also I would do a boogeyman check first. Mom's boogeyman check. Boogeymen do not like mom. So yeah, they would take off. I'd look behind curtains. I'd look everywhere. The kids, I got so thorough. I remember one night I was doing that with my son. He fell asleep while I was still looking for the boogeyman. So I thought, oh, that worked. So he lost interest in the monsters. stuff. Okay. What's your opinion on spanking or slapping a hand for repeatedly touching something? Nah, it's one of those things. It's like yelling. Yelling and hitting, they may work in the moment, but no one really wants to do it, and they backfire down the road. So they're not, a lot of parents resort to that stuff, especially yelling. But yeah, you don't need to do that. There's other things. So just keep watching and you'll learn what else to do. Oh, and if a kid was going for a hot stove, yeah, I'd slap their hand away just to prevent them from getting burnt. But it's only like, which is worse, being slapped or having your hand burnt off? So that's the only time I would ever use physical. You know what I mean? Like, that's just to keep them alive. It's like if a kid was going to run into traffic, I'd break their arm to prevent them from getting hit by a bus. But other than that, no. That reminds me, it's so off topic, but years ago, back in the 80s, I had a parrot, like an Amazon parrot, and I used to walk them all over the place downtown. And it was during the day, and this guy tried to steal them. They were worth a lot of money back in the day. And this guy tried to steal them, and I was hanging onto his feet, the bird. That's how I walked with him. And I said to the guy, if you try and take him, I'm going to break his legs. So he'll be worthless to you. I just remembered that. So the guy just took off. I would have broken the parrot's legs rather than let him take him, or maybe broken a toe. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to let go. Just reminded me of that. So sometimes violence is okay. Can you link the behavior board on here? I didn't get via email when I signed up. It takes a few minutes. You usually get it within 10 minutes, or you put your email in incorrectly. A lot of people, they do that. I don't even answer those anymore because so many people, they've either put their email in incorrectly or they haven't waited long enough, because it's like a third-party delivery system. So you might take 10 or 30 minutes for you to get the behavior board. Because I've done that myself. I'll sign up for something and I don't get it right away. I didn't get that. I do that all the time. So I don't blame you. But yeah, check your email or just sign up again and make sure it's the right email. Because what happens is they'll type in like .con or something, or, so usually that's what it is. So when you do the 24-hour, that's a good question. I like this one. When you do the 24-hour media blackout and they ask why they can't watch TV over and over, do you explain why every time, or is that focusing on the bad kid? It's not focusing on the bad kid, but they're manipulating you. They're just trying to get you to change your mind. They already know why. They're manipulating you. So if they keep saying why, just go like this. I might say, oh, who knows, just crazy me or something, and then just ignore it after that. Just ignore it. But you want them to know that you heard it the first time, and you just go, who knows? Like, you don't explain it. They already know. If they're 3, I might explain it. It's on the board. Okay. You'll learn as we go. Well, I don't like it, but why? Whatever. Like, you got to have that real blasé kind of attitude towards their questioning, because they're just trying to manipulate you. They're trying to pull you in. I never defend myself. Like that, they're asking you to defend yourself. They're asking you to explain this, and they already know it. So it's a very manipulative tactic. But why? But I don't understand. Oh, well, you'll learn. And then I would shut down and then say, I won't be discussing it again. And then I shut down. But I don't not talk to them. I'll talk about anything else. Oh, so did you see that game the other day? Or, we were playing that game the other day, soccer. I talk about other things. So it's not like I'm mad at them, but I will not discuss that. I will not be defending myself. Like, I just wouldn't do it. It's their way of trying to get control over you. I've signed up for the behavior board multiple times. I've tried at least 6 times. Send me an email and put down, I'm the one who's tried 6 times, and I'll look into it, because everyone else is getting it. I get tons of people signing up every day who do get it. So I don't know why you don't. Yeah, just send me an email and tell me, because otherwise I'll ignore it, because usually a couple minutes later they get the behavior board. Okay, my 9-year-old I don't usually answer step questions, like step parent ones, because you're not the parent. And if I give you some advice and the biological parent doesn't like it, you get the idea here. I do deal with a lot of situations with step parents, but the biological parent has to be there too. Anyway, I'm going to read this out and you'll understand why. Okay, my 9-year-old stepdaughter asks questions about details always that I don't feel like as a child she needs to know about, like a control thing. I'm not sure any advice what it can say without being rude. So she asks about details. What do you mean? Like, what kind of subjects is she asking about, like sex and stuff like that? That kind of stuff? That's what I was thinking you were talking about. So I don't know. Ask me what you mean. Is it inappropriate stuff, or she's just asking you to explain yourself all the time when you've already explained yourself? I've been talking all day. I've been doing coaching all day long. My voice is starting to go. And I've still got to go to Instagram and TikTok. No, not inappropriate. Always explain. No, not so it's not inappropriate stuff. She's always asking you to explain. She's just questioning you. She's trying to weaken you. She's trying to gain control. So if it was something like, but why aren't I doing that? Say, I've already explained it. I won't be discussing it any further. Okay? That's what I would say. And then if she keeps asking, I'd go, yeah, I don't explain myself. I just don't. It's right up there with with repeating yourself. Leaders don't do that. Leaders don't. You want to be a leader for your kids. It's not that you don't explain. You do explain it the first time, but once you've explained it, they already understand it. It's that the kind of explaining I mean. I do explain what's going on, but then when they keep saying, "But why?" But it's that they're questioning. They're trying to get you to change your mind, and that's the stuff I ignore. But I don't understand. Well, you'll learn. You'll learn. It's a process. Yeah. I kind of looked snotty when I said that. I don't say it like that. I'm very, "Oh, well, you'll learn. It's okay. You'll learn." It's more like that. Now you'll learn. Just watching myself. That looked kind of snotty. I didn't mean it that way. But it's very, yeah, you'll learn. It's okay. It's a process. And then change the subject. When I was working with kids, they learn really quickly that I don't get pulled into that stuff. And I was talking to this one kid, and I guess he was used to arguing with his parents all the time, and they actually answered him. And I said something, "Well, no, we're not doing that right now because we're working on this test." And he says, "But why?" But I thought, and I said, "I already just said, so that's it." Like I completely shut down. He looked so confused. I didn't come back with an argument. And I can remember the look on his face. I didn't argue with him. And he just looked genuinely confused. And then he ended up just doing what I'd said we had to do anyway. I said, "No, I already said we're doing that." So like I didn't answer him. I didn't explain myself because I'd already said what's happening. If there was a behavior that went against the behavior board and then have to turn on the 24-hour media blackout out, and then another occurrence happens of bad behavior, what do you say? Well, okay. So what this person's asking, I'm assuming, is, so let's say their rule is no hitting. So they hit, and the consequence, you always start with the positive action one. The consequence is they have to clean up after dinner. They won't do it. So then you say, fine, 24-hour media blackout starts now. Then they continue to hit during that 24 hours. Is that what you're talking about? So whatever they're in trouble with, whatever the 24-hour media blackout is in reference to, they keep doing it. This is what you say. You say, that's why you've got 24-hour media blackout. That's the most you might say. They keep hitting, say, there you go. Like you don't double the consequence. About twice a year, I go to 48 hours, and I only do it with 9-year-olds and over, and it's a very specific situation. It's so rare, maybe twice a year. Think of all the people I talk to every year. Twice a year, maybe we'll double it. It's an extreme one, and I only do it with certain families. It's necessary to go there, but it's not the 48 hours that does it. It's the way it's done. It's the process and how you do it is gold, and it's really hard to get the parents to get that just right. If you're going to double that 24 hours, don't do it on your own. You'd have to hire me for that one, and I hardly ever do it, like hardly ever. So yeah, what's the point? And then you got 2 days where you've got no leverage at all. 2 whole days, 48 hours where you got no leverage. And then what are you going to do? They keep hitting again and again. Now it's 72 hours. Now it's 3 weeks. Now it's like, when does it end? So yeah. What's your email? I'm the sixth behavior. Okay, it's lisa@bratbusters.com. If you go on the link above, it's all in there. Everything I've got is attached to that one link. Or I don't know on Facebook how it's done. It's done. I don't do my social media anymore. So, but yeah, just look in the bio there or whatever. Okay, actually, I have to move. Oh gosh, I've been talking too long. I got to move over to Instagram now, but I'm on YouTube the whole time. So anyway, I'm moving over to Instagram now. If you're not going to join me over there, you can check out the link above, and you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for coaching. But coaching is a bit, I can't always take people on. My schedule is really packed these days. You have to email me and tell me why you want to work with me. And some days I am taking people on, some days I'm not, but you'll be in a queue. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. I'm off to Instagram now. I like that sound. Post for 30 days. Go to Instagram. Okay. Now this is on YouTube. Swifty says, what kind of consequence do you do for a 9-year-old who keeps taking things from other kids at school? Just say no stealing. I would say that. Just no stealing off other kids. Just say it like it is. And put that on the behavior board, and then make sure that you ask the teacher or whatever, and make sure that you get reported to on when they've taken something off another kid, and then you have a consequence. If well, I don't know exactly what they're doing. Are they stealing something and taking it home? Let's say they take something off another kid and take it home. I would have them give their favorite toy to that kid for a whole week to play with as the consequence. You did something mean to someone, now you're going to replace it with something nice. So yeah, I would do that, make amends to the other kid, but I don't know exactly what they're doing. That's on YouTube. I was answering your question there. Anyway, welcome to Instagram. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm just here answering your questions from 0 to 18. That's not your age, that's your kid's age. So check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for coaching. Coaching, I'm really busy these days, so you have to apply for it and just send me an email. It's all explained. You'll end up in a queue. If I'm not taking people in, you'll end up in a queue. So check out the coaching page. Let me know if you want to work with me, and then tell me why, and we'll go from there. Okay. Main way to establish yourself as a leader. Well, there's not one thing. It's kind of a package, but I'll read out my top 3 leadership qualities. I don't really like the way I've worded this, but I get it. There's 3 of them, and I'll read them out, just bang, 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 and then if you want me to explain it, I will. Number 1, my three top leadership qualities as a parent. This starts at about the age of 3. Under that, they're crazy anyways, they're toddlers. Number 1, you stay calm during the storms. Number 2, you be crazy during the rainbows. And number 3 is be a great listener. Those are my 3 top parenting tips for being a leader. The storms are when you're disciplining, you stay calm. The rainbows are when you're playing, and every other time other than disciplining, just be fun and nice, and you know what I mean, like all happy. And then be a great listener. You use these more than that. When I'm coaching parents, they're often surprised because I talk about discipline all the time here on lives, because you're kind of controlling these lives because I'm answering your questions, but I kind of want to shift that a little bit more and make the point that really discipline is really tiny part of parenting. To me, it's more about bonding with them, being friends with them, being a great listener, being a safe place to land. They'll tell you everything right through the teen years. You want to connect with your kids in their world, not in yours, in their world. You want to learn how to connect with them at each age. And that is your strength as a parent, is connection. It's not about the discipline. That's a tiny part of it. I always say you address bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid. My boot camp course goes from 3 to 12 years old, very specific age, because that is when you're at the height of your leadership. They really need a guide. They need a mentor. They need someone to look up to. They need a leader. You want that to be you. If you're not a leader for your children, they're going to be very vulnerable and very susceptible out there in the world. They're going to be very vulnerable to bullying, peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians, whatever. They're going to be very vulnerable because they don't have a leader at home. You're a safe place to land. They tell you everything. Yeah, that's what I'm all about. It's not about the discipline. Discipline is a tiny part of it. It's just you lead these lives by asking questions. It's a Q&A. But in coaching, I'm in control of coaching completely. And it's all about connecting with your kids. So much of it is about playing with them, not pushing the buttons of teenagers, getting them all riled up. So yeah, it's all about bonding with your kids and connecting with them, being friends with them. That's what it's all about. But I'm here answering questions, and that's fair enough. Okay. Oops, I'm going to scroll ahead because I missed a whole bunch of questions. People come and go. You said yesterday you only need one leader. What would you? Okay. You said yesterday you only need one leader. What would the other parent role be then? They're usually the pleaser. And here's how it goes. It's usually a leader and a pleaser, but the pleaser defers to the leader. Here's how it goes. My mom was the leader, my dad was the pleaser. If I wanted to get something and I knew my mom wouldn't want me to have it, I would whisper to my dad behind my mom's back, Daddy, can I please have this? He was the pleaser. He'd say, sure, sweetie pie. But he was also mom was the leader and they were on the same page. So he would say, let's check with your mom. And I'd go, never mind. So that's what makes it work. Now with myself and my husband at the time, I was the leader, he was the pleaser. So the kids would be out with him. And if they were being disrespectful in any way, he would say, do you want me to tell mom? And they'd go, oh, never mind. So he deferred to me. There's nothing wrong with that. It works really well. It's a good partnership. Like I wouldn't want anyone else disciplining my kids. I know how to do it. And I wanted to be in charge of them. Like I was the leader, right? I didn't want him doing it. So, and he didn't want to do it. He loved the way they were. So he was quite happy to defer that to me. There usually is one leader. But there'll never be an authority and a leader. They clash. The old-fashioned authority style clashes with leadership. They're so different. What'll end up happening is the leader's best friends with the kids and also the ones that get the best behavior out of the kids. So the authority usually goes, oh, I want some of that. Like they usually want to be the leader too. So you can have two leaders, but there's usually one clear leader. Like you can both be leaders, but there's usually one stronger leader. You know how you know that's the one they tell everything to. The leader is the one the kids, right through the teen years, the leader is the one the kids tell everything to. You're sort of their guiding light, their mentor. 8-year-old refusing to sleep in their own bed. Okay, I have a course on that called Bedtime Battles, and it goes from 2 to 8 years old. It's a very specific method on how you do it. It's ugly. It's usually one night of hell. Yeah, it's ugly. The bigger the storm, though, the bigger the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow. They don't want to go through the storm, but that's how you get to the rainbow. Behind every storm, that's fits, scenes, tantrums, meltdowns. Those are all lessons. You don't want to avoid those. You want to go right into it. You know what I mean? Like, don't try and please your kids so that they won't have a tantrum. It's the worst thing you can do. If you know that you're setting fair boundaries and fair rules, don't try and avoid the tantrums. Allow them to process the fact that they cannot, be naughty or whatever. They have to be respectful. They'll figure it out. Yeah, sometimes people will say, how do we avoid tantrums? Now, why would you want to? That's where all the lessons are. They will minimize in frequency and duration and intensity when you get good at handling them. But yeah, you don't want, if they're so inclined to have tantrums, that's okay. There's a lesson behind every tantrum. Reminds me of that kid I worked with. I just met him. He was 8 years old. And he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. He thought, whoops, he met his match. So yeah, don't be afraid of that stuff. I'm like, bring it on. I know what I'm doing. I know how to handle it. If you're afraid of them, if you're afraid of a fit scene or a tantrum, they're in charge. Yeah, bring it on. I'm okay. I can deal with it. I can handle it. Don't show fear. They'll go for the jugular. Okay. So I was just going through reading a whole bunch of them. One thing I'm struggling with is because I like to mix them up. Some of them are similar, the questions. One thing I'm struggling with is currently my 1.5-year-old gets excited about sitting in this high chair, but a few minutes in, he throws his food and wants out. He will eat while he plays. Acceptable? No. What you do is, so you sit them up in the high chair and you give them their food. And if they throw the food, and don't give them a lot of food, by the way, they'll throw the whole plate. Just give them a little bit if they are so inclined to throw food. Just give them a little bit. And then you're sitting right there with them. As soon as they throw it, you say no, and you pick it up and throw it in the sink or in the garbage, and then you hand feed them. You don't give them food again for that rest of that meal. And they will probably pitch a fit. They're not going to want to eat because they're just pitching a fit. That's okay. Clean them up, put them down, meal's over. Maybe 15 minutes later, try it again. Put them in the high chair, and offer them food. Or you can give them food first. If they throw it, do it again. Keep doing it. They'll eventually learn. They don't usually starve to death with stubbornness. They'll usually eat when they're hungry. And maybe they eat, maybe they're not hungry if they're actually doing that. Sometimes it's just they've had too many snacks during the day. Do I validate tantrums and then active ignore, or is that enabling? I'm worried about my 4-year-old will think I don't care that feelings are bad. Okay. Validate tantrums. No, you don't need to validate everything. You don't validate the fact that they don't like to hear the word no. I don't validate that. There's no point. Yeah. I could go on about this one for too long. Yeah. Okay. If you I don't know what you mean by validating a tantrum. What do you mean by that? Hugging it, talking it through? There's no point whatsoever. You allow their brain to process going into a tantrum, having one, and getting themselves out. If you interrupt that process, their brain just isn't, it's just going to not even learn how to process it. So by effectively ignoring a tantrum, you're right there. You're just waiting, waiting for a bus, waiting for it to stop. As soon as they're done, say, oh, do you want to go to the park? Oh, do you want to read a book? You see, you ignore the crazy and reward the calm. If you're worried about their feelings, I don't understand that. Like, there's no feelings wrapped up in that. Their feeling is I didn't get my own way. Why on earth would you worry about that feeling? They need to learn that feeling is not something that you're going to ever validate. I'm mad because you said no. I'm not validating that. You don't need to. It's nothing wrong with having feelings, but you don't have to validate them all. Now, if you feel that you're damaging your child by ignoring the tantrum, you got bigger fish to fry. If that damages a child, the way I teach how you ignore a tantrum, if that's damaging a child, there's something else going on. Yeah, you're not meeting their needs, their other needs. So yeah, if you're meeting their needs, they're just fine with that. 3.5-year-old hits his head when upset. Yeah, they're doing that because it works. It upsets you. So just hold them, say no, and then just hold them for a while and then let go. If they hit their head again, say no, and you hold them. You just got to keep doing that. Or you can get a foam helmet for them. If they're 3.5, if they're so inclined to hit their head when they get upset, say, okay, you're going to hit yourself in the head. Here's the helmet. Do the chin strap. Let them have a fit. They hate that thing, by the way. You can get them. I've had lots of clients do that. They get the helmet, and as soon as the kid sees it coming, they stop hitting themselves. So yeah, you just got to take control of that. Just physically restrain them from hitting themselves by either putting a foam helmet on them or you physically restrain them. You don't talk to them while you're doing that. You just make it very clear that they can't harm themselves. So if they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property, you physically intervene. Unless they're teenagers, you still intervene, or unless they're bigger or teenagers, you physically intervene if they're hurting themselves or hurting someone else. But if they're damaging property, don't intervene. They're too big. You don't want to get into a war with them. It could get ugly. Okay, this is interesting. I'd like to know what's going on here, but I'm going to read it out anyway. How to deal with an 11-year-old who struggles with change, so transitions. It's like his entire world collapses and will scream, throw, punch walls, hit, and just get angry and angrier, take hours for him to calm. Now, what you said is struggles with change. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. Does he struggle because he gets a new video game? That's a change. Or does he just struggle with a change that he doesn't like? So does he just not do well with things that don't go his way? Is that what you mean? Because if he gets a new video game or a new computer or a new phone, that's change. Does he struggle with that too? So in other words, he struggles with not getting his own way. Check out my boot camp course. It teaches you how to help them process not everything going their own way. Oh, shoot. I have to move over now. I have to go to, I've been coaching all day and then my voice is starting to go. So I got to move over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, I'm Bratbusters Parenting. Otherwise, you can check out the link above and you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Check it out first. And then if you want to go ahead with coaching, tell me why you want to work with me. You'll end up in a queue because I can't always take people on. Some days I can, some days I can't. So it changes from day to day. So, but you have to let me know why you want to work with me. I might just send you to the boot camp course or, whatever. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And I'm going over to TikTok now and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. TikTok has changed. They start with ads now. They didn't used to. Okay. 3, 2, 1. I know a lot of people joined, like hop from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, so I get a lot of the same people. Okay. Any more questions on YouTube? Nope. So I was all sweaty. I had a blood test done today. I don't mind getting needles. Doesn't bother me. Okay. Oh, I'm just staring at your names there, their handles. Oh, you're still pregnant. You were due today. Oh, yeah. It's your first one, though. I know my daughter-in-law, I think she went 2 weeks late, her first one. Yeah, I think I have it in my diary, my journal here. This is I.M. She is a longtime live participant, and she's expecting her first baby today. So she says, I'm still pregnant, just playing the waiting game. Yeah, I know, it's rough, isn't it? Actually, I lucked out that way. I didn't have easy pregnancies, but I had my son, he was born on his due date, and my daughter was born 2 days early. So, but I had really bad pregnancy with my daughter. I was sick for 9 months. I didn't know you could do that. After the 13th, we'll set an induction date. That's what they did. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, good luck. Okay. How do you handle tattling siblings? He broke the behavior board rule when you didn't see it. I don't have a problem with that if they're right. And then I would say to the other one, did you? But if they start going overboard, I would say, you know what? This is sort of going into the tattling realm. So how old are they though? Oh, it doesn't say. I need to know the age. If they understand tattling, I would say, I might put no tattling on the next behavior board. So yeah. So it's okay. It's not a bad thing necessarily unless it goes overboard. It's one of those things. It's not bad unless it goes overboard. Then if it gets so bad, say, I'll tell you what, I'm the parent here, not you. Let me decide when the behavior board takes effect. Whatever. 11, 7, and 4. What was the... okay, 11, 7, and 4. Oh, at that age, yeah, it's not bad. But like I said, I might put that on the behavior board. I say, sometimes it's appropriate, and you'll probably know when it is too. If it's something really bad, they broke something and hid it behind the couch or something. But yeah, overall, I would say I'll put no tattling on the board for next week. Okay. So yeah, and don't make it a big deal. I always say that disciplining kids is like a business transaction. It's very calm, no emotions involved, none. You got to remove all emotions when you're disciplining. It's very calm. Like my son used to say, if my mom ever whispers, run. That's when I'm disciplining. And they had a teacher like that too. Her name was Ann Walker. And she was the teacher all the other teachers went to, but she was the same way. If the kids got out of control, she would get very quiet and she goes, okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do now. And the kids would listen. So, and I had that same style. They listen. Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Okay, I made the behavior board, and this is our second night. My daughter seems to actually enjoy it. Yeah, they love it when parents are punished. Often the first week is honeymoon week, and the second week is hell week, or it could be the other way around, or sometimes it just works from day one. I never know. I can never predict that. I always think I can, but I can't. When I'm working with people, I'm always hoping the first week is hell week, because then I really got something to sink my teeth into. Otherwise, it's like, oh, we kind of like to, I like to sort of get all this stuff done. But if it's the honeymoon week and everything's going great, it's like, oh, then we're going to have to get a little bit tougher on the behavior board. Or you might just not have that much going on. But usually if people hire me, they've got quite a few things they want to work on. But yeah, you might just be in the honeymoon week, or you might just be going great. Hello, Dot. I just love that name. One of the followers here is just Dot. It must have been one of the first people on TikTok. It's been very helpful so far. Excellent. The behavior board just works. It's just an accountability chart. That's why you're on there too. We all need to be accountable. It's consequences that keep us accountable. If we don't pay our rent, we get kicked out. If we speed, we might get a ticket. Life's if you don't turn up to work, you might not get paid. You want to teach your kids this stuff when they're little so that they're better equipped to deal with life. If you didn't make them accountable, boy, they're going to be a pain in the butt with they're not going to be very good workers or anything. Like you want to teach them accountability and responsibility. That's what this is all about. You're preparing them for life. It's like when someone asks me, how do I make chores fun? Like that's the pleaser parent style. They want everything to be fun and easy for their kids. You're not preparing them for life. You're going to raise self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. They're going to be like little rose petals. Oh my God, you didn't validate my feelings. I'm just a bus driver lady. Like they're just going to be so victims and difficult. You want to prepare them for life. They've got to have responsibilities. They got to learn. They got to do what they need to do before they can do what they want to do. Like my kids, if they'd said, "Oh, can we watch TV?" I'd say, "Sure." Have you finished your chores? Oh, okay. And they'd run around, do them, and then they could turn on the TV. They learned they got to do what they need to do before they can do what they want to do. You got to be very fair and reasonable. I want them to have a happy, fun life too, right? But they still had some chores. They always had some responsibilities from the age of 3 years old. That's why I never had to tell them to do homework. Never. I have no memory of ever telling them to do homework. Not once, not ever. Because they understood. There'll be no video game. Or my son would have said, I'm just home from school. Can I just play video games to detox from school? I'd say, sure. And then he'd do his homework later, but he understood because he already understood all this. So, but yeah, you want to make things, you don't want to have to tell your kids what to do, basically. You want them to have self-discipline. And this is how you do it. You set yourself up as a leader, and then you never have to be the bad guy because they just have self-discipline. Self-discipline is like this positive, but discipline is negative. You discipline them when they're little so that they learn how to self-discipline. You have to do it. You have to discipline them so they learn self-discipline. They're not born with it. It's a learned skill. Tips on diaper changing, 11-month-old who screams and freaks out. Yeah, okay. I'll tell you what happened in our household. Our kids were toddlers, and they go through that where they turn around, they're spinning around, their hips are one way, their legs are down and their body's the other way. I mean, they're just squirming around. They're really difficult to change. But when I changed them, I put my arm across their chest, I held their legs, and then somehow I got their diaper on like that really fast. I just did it. So they learned that no matter what they did, mom was going to do it anyway. Like there's no way they could get out of it because I was the leader. Their dad was the pleaser. So I'd get a cup of tea and watch him change them. It was fun. It was fun to watch the show. He would say something like this, well, if I let you play for a minute, then I'll change you. Like he was always trying to bargain with them. So they would squirm like crazy for him. And then they learned pretty quick to just lay there and let mom change them. So they learned you just got to take charge. But yeah, he would try and bargain with them. And I loved watching it. I would just have a cup of tea watching the show. There usually is a leader and a pleaser. If you're a leader, there's usually the other one's a pleaser. It's quite fun to watch. But they learn pretty quick who they can barter with and who they can't, even when they're little. But they're going to do what they're going to do anyway. They're going to give everything a go when they're little. They're just kids. They're just learning. Your expectations of toddlers are usually the problem. Toddlers are often crazy. They do silly things. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Your expectations of them are usually what's out of whack. Whenever I'm working with people, they have older kids and then they also have toddlers. They never even talk about the toddlers. They just go, yeah, they're just crazy. So they understand toddlers are just nuts. They've only been in the world for a couple of years. I mean, they're just learning. They're just forming. How old is too early to discipline? I would say about 10 months you can start disciplining, but it's done very, very softly. Like if they hit, you hold their hand, say no. You never want to say no that makes them cry. You want to say no so they go like this and they just look at you. And then they'll probably giggle and try and hit again. They're trying to make a game out of it because they're trying to figure it out, but you just say no. And then you might just put them down. Send the message that that's not okay. You never want to discipline a toddler or a baby. A baby is up to about 15 months old. You never want to discipline them so they cry. It's tricky though. You use diversion with little ones. If they're doing something naughty, you say no, you take the toy away. Then you might try and read a book to them, use diversion. But when they're 16 months old, you don't do the diversion anymore. Yeah, it can sort of turn into a reward. So I see if I hit someone, then they read a book to me. They start to figure that out sometimes. It's kind of confusing because it's not a real clear line. Like that's why it's confusing. It isn't a set science. It's like, they're all different. Is it 15 months that they're still babies, or is it 12 months? I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Uh, 2-year-old hits his head on the ground when he's mad. Yeah, they're going to do stuff like that. There's 2 ways of dealing with that. One, you just say no and you pick them up and restrain them, but you hold them away from you and hold their head so they can't head bang. So you just hold them facing away from you. And so you're just preventing them. So you physically restrain them to prevent them from getting hurt, or you can get a foam helmet for them. You can get them online, evidently. I've had lots of clients who've done this. And if they start banging their head, you say no and you put the helmet on them. And they associate that with head banging pretty quick, and they don't like that helmet. It straps on so they can't get out of it, and supervise them. It could be they could probably strangle themselves if you left them alone with it. But yeah, supervise them. But it's just to keep them safe, right? So yeah, lots of clients have tried that, and they say as soon as they get the helmet out, the kid stops hitting their head. They connect it. How do you feel about child development delays? I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean? How do I feel about it? And a lot of there's this what do they call that? The benchmark stuff. Oh, at 6 months they should be doing this. At that age they should be doing that. That's just a suggestion, by the way. There's no. So I knew someone a long time ago who didn't walk or talk till she was 3 years old. Then she got up, never shut up, and ran. So she just was very laid back personality. Just was no rush. Had a younger brother who she would just point and go, and he'd get everything for her. He was up and walking at like 10 months old. So, the child development, I don't know what you mean. If they're developmentally delayed or they're just slow and progressing off the scale, I don't know. So I don't know. It's not really a question. I don't know what you mean by that. It's a broad term, so I don't know what you mean by that. My 3-year-old won't listen and just mocks me when she gets in trouble and laughs. Check out my boot camp course. That's all about you and your leadership. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're teaching parents here. Your children's behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 years old is 100% a direct result of your parenting. 100%, which is good news. It means you can control it. So set yourself up as a leader. You give respect to get it. You want to be fun. You want to enjoy your kids. You want to bond with them and connect with them. That's what that boot camp, that's what I teach. It's more about connecting than disciplining. Discipline is a very tiny part of this. You deal with bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid. Because where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. If all you're doing is correcting their bad behavior, it's going to get worse, guaranteed. Their self-esteem is going to go in the toilet. So you say, didn't like that, you broke a rule, here's a consequence. Okay, now do you want to go to the park? Flip it as quick as possible. Flip it. I know when I was working with kids, they were always surprised by that. Like, well, aren't you mad? Well, I've already dealt with it. It's over. No, I'm not mad. Why would I be mad? We all make mistakes. It's okay to mess up. There's nothing wrong with that. You're teaching children how to be accountable for their mistakes. You should be. A lot of adults aren't accountable for their mistakes. They don't take responsibility for them. So, but if you want to teach accountability, there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. There's nothing wrong with not being perfect, but you want to be accountable for them. Like, oh, you messed up. Okay, what are you going to do to make amends? What are you going to do? So, okay, how about I brush your hair? I'd say, great. Okay, get the brush. Taken care of. There's nothing wrong with not being perfect. Who'd want to be perfect anyway? Have you ever met anyone perfect? Ugh. There is no such thing. You don't want that anyway. It's our flaws and our vulnerabilities that makes us bond with other people. That's what we tend to love. That's how we connect with people, is their vulnerabilities and your flaws. Where do I find your boot camp? That's all in the link above. Oh, I don't let people join in my lives at all. When I first started doing lives, I think it was a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. And I let someone in. I didn't know how to do a live. I was brand new. And I let someone in. And they talked about their business. They wanted my audience. So I couldn't get rid of them fast enough. So yeah, I've never let anyone else in again. Not to say you do that, but yeah, I'm here to serve you. I'm not here to serve other people's businesses. Okay. Can I ask my 5-year-old to stay in his room until 7 a.m. and not wake us up? Am I mean? I'd have to assess that. I don't know. Like, does he go to bed at 8 and he wants to get up and start the day? I don't know if it's mean, but I don't know if I'd make him stay in his room. Yeah, I don't know about that, to be honest. I'd have to assess it. Yeah, I don't know. It might not be worth hiring me for coaching, but if other stuff's going on, it might be worthwhile looking into coaching. But if that's all you're dealing with, then probably not, right? My son's almost 4 and he's been using swear words around his friends, but never around me. Well, how do you hear about it? Is it other parents that are telling you or his friends? Just put down no bad words. And whenever you hear that he's done a bad word, then there's a consequence. There's no shame in making mistakes. Don't shame children for making mistakes. Don't shame children for breaking rules. Just say, yeah, you messed up. Here's the consequence. No big deal. It's no big deal. You're on there too, by the way. Your kids get to punish you too. You've got a rule also. Now, you said I just purchased an auto renewal subscription. I don't have any subscriptions, so that wouldn't be me. Or if you did, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I don't sell subscriptions, so I don't know what you mean. Some other people have talked about that. What are you talking about for subscription? You paid for a subscription. I don't know. Wasn't instigated by me. Could it be on TikTok that you paid or something? I don't know. I think I make a little bit of money. Like, I think I've made like $2 here in 2 years on TikTok, but I don't know why or what that means. Yeah, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't run ads or anything, so I don't know. Anyway, sorry. It's just other people have said that too. I don't know what it means. And I'm too stupid to figure it out. I can't figure out social media. But thanks for supporting me, but I don't know I don't know. Why isn't my 3-year-old talking? Doesn't have autism. I don't know. I'm not a doctor or pediatrician, but I just told a story about I knew a 3-year-old many years ago who didn't talk or walk till she was 3. She was in no rush, very laid back personality. But she got up and ran and talked like crazy. So she already knew how to do it. You just paid. Was it on TikTok? Oh, TikTok charges people monthly to subscribe to you. Oh, so that's TikTok. Shoot. Subscription. I might look into that because lots of people have told me about that, but I don't make any money on here, so I don't know how. Why would you pay money for that? Well, I don't get it. Anyway, I'll look into that. I'll try and figure that out. I don't know. Thank you anyway. Subscribe to you. TikTok. How much do you pay for that subscription? Like, what is that? What do you do with, okay. What do you do with siblings fighting physically? If they are 3 and above, use the behavior board. I'm just thinking about that subscription now. Anyway. Okay, I was wondering if you have coaching online. Yeah, I do online coaching. That's what I do. I'm a parenting coach. So, but my schedule's pretty packed. Some days I can take people on, some days I can't. I only take people on if I think I can fit you in within a week of you getting all the forms back to me, So, yeah. Plus, I need some free mental space too. Like, I can't coach 8 clients a day. That would be exhausting because I put a lot into it. So I have to pace myself out too because I'm getting older too, right? Getting a bit slower in my old age. You've helped me so much with my kids. Thank you. You're very welcome. That's why I'm here. I just love helping people, and it's just very rewarding. I get a lot of just beautiful emails every single day, and I'm thrilled. Imagine being able to help people every single day. It's a good feeling. $5.99 a month. Is that going to me? Am I making any money on TikTok? I'm going to look into that. So it's Heather. $5.99 a month. Interesting. Well, if I'm making any money on TikTok, that's news to me. So I didn't know. Okay, well, thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate that. I hope it is going to this subscription and not some scam or something. I'm assuming. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. It's just because I never knew anything about it. You'd think TikTok would have told me something, but maybe they are. Yeah, I don't know anything about. I don't do my social media anymore anyway. There's a good reason for that. I'm useless at it. What was the hardest age for you while your kids were growing up? I would say toddlers, because I'm a worrier and it was a safety issue. Because they're all feet, no brains. They're cute as a button, but I was worried about them falling. I was worried about someone grabbing them. I would say toddlers were the hardest for me, for sure. Although I would say maybe 18, 19, I went through a real transition. I loved mothering. And then when they were turning into adults, I went through a bit of a mourning process. Yeah. I miss it. The most fun I ever had was parenting. I miss it. So that was a hard transition for me. Is when they grew up. Yeah. I wanted them to grow up and move out and, have their own lives, but it was still hard for me, is letting go. Yeah, but toddlers. Yeah, I guess I love them at home. But when I had to take my toddlers out, it is so much work. You have to watch them constantly. Like, it's a lot of work. I used to like going with friends to like play centers that were safe for little ones. I love going to gymboree, dance classes, swimming lessons, all that stuff. But if you took them somewhere public, like a theme park, total nightmare for me with a toddler. Total nightmare. I was worried sick. They're all feet, no brains. Haha. Mine definitely has brains, but it's equally terrible. Yeah, they're brains, but they're just little ones. They don't understand danger yet. Okay, actually, I have to get going. My voice is really bugging me. I've been coaching all day today. So, anyways, thanks so much for joining me. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. That's 3 to 12 years old, or you can look into coaching. Check it out first, and then let me know if you want to work with me. I can't take everyone on these days because I'm busy, but send me an email. Tell me why you want to work with me. Anyway, and if it is crisis work, life and death crisis work, put crisis in the subject line. You're always my first priority because I specialize in teen crisis work. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. Good night.